There's something about the Kirby series that never fails to make me smile. Every game is filled to the brim with charm and adorableness. Needless to say, I was pretty excited for Rainbow Curse when it was first announced. I loved Canvas Curse because of the unique challenge it presented. But what about Rainbow Curse? Well, I'm glad to say I really adore it. Now, the game begins with a cute clay animated cutscene. Essentially, an evil pair of hands called Glacia has sucked all the color from Dreamland and escaped into a portal. With the help of a fairy called Eli, Kirby and some Waddle Dees must restore the color back to Dreamland. It's a simplistic plot, but just like the Mario titles, you really don't play Kirby games for the story. This setup gives Kirby and pals a reason to go on an adventure, and that's pretty much it. It's not compelling, and it gets pushed to the side immediately after the first cutscene, and that's perfectly okay. The only thing I wish there was more of were the cutscenes. They're so beautifully animated, and I love how stylized they are. I really just love how stylized the entire game is. It looks gorgeous. The clay art style is really unique, and it flows together really well with the gameplay. This is one of my favorite games on the Wii U in terms of visuals. To top this off is the soundtrack. I'm gonna be frank with you here. The music in this game is spectacular. There is not a single song in which I would call mediocre or bad. They're all distinct and great to listen to. Sure, a lot of the tunes are remixes from past Kirby games, but they're phenomenal remixes. The presentation of Kirby in the Rainbow Curse is delightful, but there is one glaring issue with it. Since the game requires you to use the stylus at all times, your vision is tied to the gamepad. The visuals do look nice on the gamepad, but I feel like this causes the player to miss out on the full extent of Rainbow Curse's amazing graphics. There's really no way to fix this other than having the player use a Wii remote instead of a stylus, or just have the player use a Wii remote and play as a Waddle Dee and disregard the gamepad completely. This would give players the opportunity to experience the presentation in a better way, but this would more than likely negatively affect the gameplay. And I'm a huge fan of the gameplay here. Drawing lines for Kirby to follow on the gamepad does take some practice to fully master, but each level is designed in a way to improve your skills as you go along. That being said, I can see where some people may get really frustrated. I personally like challenges in video games, and when one is presented to me, I like to see myself fail so I can learn how to overcome that challenge. Even with my experience from Canvas Curse, I found myself dying a lot, but that's not a bad thing, especially since the death music is shockingly delightful. Lives are easy to come by in Rainbow Curse, so I never really felt frustrated. Also, not every level is about drawing lines for Kirby to get to an endpoint. Some levels have Kirby transforming into a submarine, a tank, or a rocket to get Kirby to his goal. The controls in these transformation levels are pretty solid, but like the bulk of the gameplay, it can take some time to get used to. There's a lot of variety in the stages of Rainbow Curse, but the same can't be said for its boss fights. You'll be fighting 3 different bosses in Rainbow Curse, not counting the final one. And while the way you go about defeating them is distinctive and fun, especially the Wispy Woods boss, you have to fight them each twice. Sure, the second time is a lot more challenging, but the battle seems a lot more lackluster as a result. Another thing I kind of have mixed feelings on is the multiplayer. Up to 3 players can take control of Waddle Dee and hop around or carry Kirby across the stage. This changes the gameplay of Rainbow Curse from an on-rails kind of platformer to a jumping kind of platformer. And the level design was not made for that kind of platforming, which makes the multiplayer feel tacked on and kind of game-breaking. It makes the game incredibly easy. If you wanted to, you could just play the majority of the game as Waddle Dee holding Kirby, occasionally drawing lines as he went through the level. Not all levels will allow you to do this, but when you can, all the challenges drain from that level. And if you're playing with somebody who just wants to mess around, you may find yourself getting a bit frustrated. I would highly recommend you play this in single player on your first go. You'll have a lot more fun, trust me. All in all, Kirby and the Rainbow Curse is a wonderful game. Its art style is charming and it looks spectacular in HD. The gameplay feels unique and challenging. In fact, I would say this is the most challenging Kirby game to date. And although a lot of the boss fights are reused, there is a ton of variety in the 28 stages Kirby and the Rainbow Curse has to offer. I would recommend this title to anyone really, but if drawing lines to guide Kirby using your stylus doesn't intrigue you, you probably will not enjoy Rainbow Curse too much. But the game is $40, so if you think you're going to have a good time with this one, definitely pick it up. If I had to give Kirby and the Rainbow Curse a score, I would give it a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed playing this game, and it has a lot of replayability with collecting the treasures hidden in each level. And if you're wondering why I didn't really touch on the amiibo features, it's because I only have Kirby, and that's currently away. Where is it? No clue. I seem to have lost it, so I really can't accurately say how the feature is. Sorry. And if you agree or disagree with me, let me know in the comments below. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing to never miss one of my newer videos. And as always, always, thank you so much for watching and take care. Have a wonderful day and goodbye.